G'day and welcome to White to Blue Belt second tip. Over the week I was thinking there's a lot more additional material that I could add to the first tip, like more refinement. But I guess for learning, it's best just to get the macro down, the fundamental movement, and then over time, you in your journey will refine that movement. But I'll also give you some clues. Classically, I don't do a lot of those moves that way. And I was thinking about it, well, should I demonstrate some of the moves that I should do? And maybe I'll do that later. All right, today we're doing second tip, white to blue, Redback syllabus. And we're looking at, there's quite a lot of techniques on this tip. And what I see is that these are fundamental techniques that will be used for the rest of your journey in BJJ across the various belts. And so I'd expect a blue belt to incorporate these techniques into open guards, half guards, De La Rivas, spider guards, etc., etc. A purple belt to incorporate it into their game plan. So these are fundamental movements that you should do. Now there is a fundamental way to demonstrate these techniques, and I will do that today. And then later on, I think I'll have to do second tip, how I do the techniques tactically, which is executing in a role. And you'd argue there is a crossover between the two, and you would say that, well, why do you not just teach the tactical method? And that's because I think fundamentally everyone needs to understand the levers, the leverage point, taking away posts, etc., etc. Otherwise, you're not fully going to get the big picture. The evolution, my evolution, and my development. I can't give you the end point of that. You actually have to start at your start point and work your BJJ forward. First thing we're looking at is takedowns. Now I'm going to do a whole video clip just on takedowns itself. So I've got my own unique system for teaching takedowns, and basically, I'll just have a quick chat about that first, and then down the track we'll actually do a takedown video. If you have a look at ball sports and you look at Aussie rules football, and you look at basketball, it's a ball sport, soccer, and you look at rugby, and you were to say, well, look, if you go to rugby, they're going to say, right, mate, throw the ball this way and run straight. Aussie rules are going to say, actually, mate, we handball the ball this way and we kick the ball this way. Soccer's going to say, hey, mate, we don't even touch the ball. We kick it along the ground. We dribble along the ground. Basketball's going to say, we don't even kick the ball. We bounce the ball and shoot it into a hoop. And you can see that all these rules. So it's no different to martial arts. If you go into a martial arts school that's judo, the first thing you'll learn, and I did judo for many years, hip throw, shoulder throw, leg sweep, right? If you go into a wrestling school, single legs, doubles, shoots. And I'm like, well, it's a bit like football. Why couldn't you take the best components of each and blend them together? And that's what BJJ is doing. But I actually feel there's a whole teaching strategy around takedown, especially in gi. And so I'll go into that later on a separate one. But I've got a good approach. It works. All the takedowns I do, I've done in competition myself, and I've even got a couple that are so good. I haven't done them in comps, but I'm sort of like, well, why haven't I done them in comps? But we'll go over that. Basic sweep. I've got the person in my closed guard, and I've fought for the ace of grips, which is the lapel grip behind the ear up near the brain. Now, in a sweep, I have to take away a post. I actually have to take away kind of two posts in this sweep. And if you imagine Rafi being a table over the top of me, go into a table, and I took away this post here, the table would fall over. That's what we're going for, okay? So from here, I get hands in, lapel, and I can grab here to take away the post. I'm going to hip escape out to my side, bring my legs in, and bring the knee up, basically 45 degrees across his body. And I can create a little bit of space here by moving a little bit more, and I can sweep him with this leg, push him over, and I can kick this knee out depending on the angle and depending on the strength of the person. So you need to, so I'm going to kick him over this way, boom, and I'll go into mount, and I can push down on that hand there, just take it to the ground. All right, let's look at a little bit of detail. When do I do what? It's a good question. So I get my grip, and I grip this grip here. I'm stopping this hand going out to post, to stop himself from going over to that side. Going to move my legs in, boom. Now, if the person's solid there, I can put my foot on the knee and just push the knee out and take him over. And I suggest that for all the kids and for anyone that's bigger than you. I use that one quite a bit. If my knee is too flat, Rafi can push it down. Push down on my knee and pass to the right. Yeah, so you can go around that way. So my knee has to be up high like that. Okay? Now, experiment with this. Experiment with this grip. He may still push down on that, right? He may have the strength to do it. But you can go, instead of going this side, hand out of the way, instead of going this side, I go this side. Now he pushes down. It's not going to happen. I've framed my wrist and my knee, and then I just kick him over. So I play with this sort of stuff. So I'm here, and I'm going to hip out, bring the foot in. Now normally it's there, and I pull tight, and I might even give myself some room, but sometimes it can be on this side. And then I give myself room, and then I'm going to sweep scissor, boom. With the size difference with Rafa and I can scissor. Right, Rafa does the little adjustment where he's done the classic where the knee's this side of the hand, but how about he puts the knee here and now takes me over. Yep. Can you scissor? Give yourself room. No. So extend yourself away. Now see, I've got to fall in the hole here, so you're going to move your back away. Hyperextend that. You got to hyper. Now you can scissor. Yeah. See, I'm already going. So the subtlety is that I can come into here, but I hyperextend. Oh, see, at the moment, I want Rafi to fall in the hole, but I haven't created the hole. So I hyperextend away a bit and subtly pull him into that hole. He's got no balance. He's just going to fall. Boom. Okay, the next one we're doing is the hooking sweep. So Rafi puts a foot up because he's probably passing. Now, a lot of people don't do this, but this is the bit I want you to do. You get your grips. So I'm going for the lapel, and I've got this hand grip here. So basically, I'm taking the post away from here. I'm going to plank, kick my own backside with my leg, get my knee, foot right in. Just move that hand so the camera can see. Right at the end of the lever here. Not here, right at the end of the lever. Then it's similar to a basic sweep. I sweep over, and he falls over, and I get mount. And he puts up a leg. Now he may be trying to do a standing pass or something. I take advantage of it. I get my grips. I'm blocking this post from going out there. I'm blocking it. I weight this leg, boom, hook in, and I take him over. And now, even like in the basic sweep, I can move by hyperextending, creating space for Rafi to fall into. And that is a hooking sweep. Next one we're going to do is back and front sweep. Great sweeps, actually. I use the back one often. Front sweep, not as often, but it's pretty cool. So this time, Rafi stands up. And I've still got my legs wrapped around him, and he hasn't controlled my hands. So in effect, I can reach down with my hands, grab at the base of his ankles, yep, and then I drop my hips down. And what happens is I bring my knees inside, and then from here, I don't push with my feet, I just lift my hips up a little bit and knock him down. Boom. Then from here, my hips are on top, and I've got to get past. So I can go out to the side, any side, this side here, and walk around. Boom. And get to mount. So Rafi stands up. Boom. This is good. I reach for the feet, ankles, right at the ankles. I drop my hips down. My hips go in between the line between his heels. Boom. My knees come in, and then I lift up and push him back. Boom. He'll fall down. I use that momentum and continue over. Okay. Before we went backwards, and there's a subtlety there, and the subtlety is that if they're pulling back, I will take them backwards. If they're coming forward onto me, which some people drive forward, then I just take them forward. So I use their momentum and their energy to execute my technique. So Rafi's here and he stands up. Okay, good. Now what I'll do, I'll drop my legs in and I'll come into here and they'll go onto his hips. Now, there is a little bit, I don't want to push Rafi back with my feet, back towards the wall there. I don't want to do that. What I've got to do is bring Rafi forward. My knees have to come towards my mouth or towards the front. So I go like this and I bring him on. Then I lift him up. And now I've got him balanced. And I can do a lot of things from here. So what I'm now going to do is, he's going to fall from a great height. I'm going to let my knees come in towards me. He's going to do a forward roll. Over. Into a front sweep. Your legs are here and you've got the person, they've stood up and you then put them on the waist. But you need to bring, in order to lift them, you don't push with your legs, that pushes them away from you. You actually got to concertina your legs, bring your knees into you. Then when you bring them in, you lift up. So then you've got them up on you. Then to roll them over, there's a bit where you bring your knees towards you, and as you roll over, you kick your legs out. We just didn't have enough room. So it'll look like this. Legs come in, up, in, and a little bit of momentum. And then here, I push, extend my legs, and go into mount. Moving into a cross lapel choke, usually from mount. Can do it from guard as well, okay? 3 variations. We call it 4 fingers in, when 4 fingers go in. We call it thumb and four fingers, so we got 4 fingers in and then you do a thumb over the top. And then there's 2 thumbs in and there's a number of variations. So I'm in the mount position. I open up the collar, the lapel, and I use it like a guide, and I guide the other hand down behind the back, right behind the ear. Get in nice and deep. This is going to come on. Now, I lift the chin with the hand. This is 4 fingers in, by the way. 4 fingers have gone deep in, and I'm right behind the ear at the back. I lift the chin, I bring the other hand in, 4 fingers, and I go in really deep. This is going to come on tight. Now, the rules are, as soon as he taps, I take my hands out. I don't reposition myself and then take my hands out. So I come, as I fall down, I go on. He taps, tap, I let go. I'm not going to get too far falling forward. Bottom line is, my head will fall to the ground and he will have tapped somewhere in there. And then I'll pull my hands out first because the tap's still on. This is like an arm bar. Some people aren't very good at arm bars and they have to wait to the full extension to get the tap. I will get a tap without full extension just by the tightness of my knees, my alignment, my hip alignment under the shoulder. Correct positioning will bring on the tap before the hyperextension. And that rule applies to legs. I've seen in the school now people doing legs, but I'll get the tap, I'll get a break. I haven't broken anyone, but because I'm tighter. And so if you're at fully hyperextended on a leg, meaning you've got no more movement and you're still not tapping them, your technique's incorrect. And that's just how it is. It's your leg and your arm demonstrate this rule. Okay, so from here, cross lapel, 4 fingers in, go deep, slide along. This acts like a corridor to the back, boom, back of his neck. Lift the chin up, put the other one 4 fingers in, go down nice and deep. Now, once I'm deep, I don't do a scissor action like this. That creates a big opening here. You can see that, look. I need a small opening there. I don't want a big opening. You see people crushing down like this, their elbows being flared? Incorrect. Here, I want that. So how do I get that? I pull this way and bring my elbows to my floating ribs. And look, you can even see the space getting smaller. Look, you can see it. It's there, large, and then I pull it in smaller. And anything in that gap, like seriously, I'll crush anyone's neck. So from here, I pull, I go in, I pull, and then to the ribs, floating ribs. Like you're on a rower, upright row. Keep it all tight. Don't flare your hands out. Come in, boom. And then technique comes up, he's already tapped. Because that technique's pretty tight, I know it's tight. But if I had to lean forward, I'd lean forward with the technique on. He would tap, and then I pull my hands out for the rest of the movement. Okay, that's 4 fingers in, both hands. Now I'm going to do 4 fingers in and thumb in. So if I've got choice here. I can go thumb in here, and then I can go 4 fingers in, and with a thumb you can go over the top. When you've got 4 fingers, you go underneath. So over the top, I get the thumb on the other side, and then I'm just going to do the same. Now, I really focus on my elbows going tight under my floating ribs. That's where I get the tap. I'm trying to get the tap before the hyperextension, before the, before that bit. I actually want to get the tap instantaneous. So therefore, it's got to be good positioning. Here and here. Tap me, mate. Tap me, please. Make it obvious. Good. Here and here. And I'm not even getting to fall forward because I'm getting in. I can feel it. I know I'm deep. I've got this guy. Righto. So you can then go thumb and thumb. And I don't use that one as much, but that's what you can do. Or you can go around the back. You can get your... Because often you'll roll someone over from a basic sweep, boom. Then you come over here with your other hand. So you sort of get in here and you come around the corner. That's on deep too. Tap, just tap. Yeah, you got to tap, mate. Use your hands and tap, right? That's what you got to do. You got to tap. Okay, we go into guard because all these chokes can be done from various positions. So some people, they're in my guard and they will try choking me, which is crazy because they don't have the leverage, right? They just, because I can push back with my knees and I can punch, I can go for it. Yeah. See, you just don't have control. Okay, good, and steady, right? But what I can do is here I actually can reach up, get this in here, head up please, and I can come under here and go under there. So I can do, head up, or I'll just tap across there. Remember, you don't always have to go across the carotids, right? You can just come across the jaw if you need to. It's a bit uncomfortable. So a choke cuts off oxygen, and a strangle is cutting off the carotids. But you never really cut off all the blood supply to the head. You basically cut off a lot of it, and then they pass out, and then you put them into a recovery position. It's a bit like going to sleep. When they come out of it, some people, and I've been choked out a few times, you can come out fighting, or you can come out, you're not quite sure where you are, and you get a bit sweaty too. Even though you may have only been out for a few seconds. So I just look for sign. If they're not tapping, I look for the veins popping in their heads, their eyes. I can see the capillaries in their eyes. Their face goes red, or they squirm a bit. But I go for a really deep choke. I'm not into the hyperextending around to try and get the lock at the last possible second. That means your technique's incorrect. No different to a choke. I want them to feel that once I'm in there, they're like, oh, this is going to come on really quick. That's what I'm going for. Okay, so we're moving into a front guillotine. Front guillotine, I can get a hand to the ground, and I've got choice. I can come up, and in this position, I get higher than Harry and I can do a hip bump, or Harry pushes me back to the ground and I can come back into Kimura, or I'm actually set up for a guillotine, front choke. So from front choke here, it's difficult that if I just come up from here, if I just try and sit up once I've dropped my legs, I can't sit up. It's very hard. So I have to move my hips back. So I might take a hand away, boom, I hip back, and then I sit up and I come across the back of it. Now my hand will go around, all the way around, the elbow comes down, and I'll get a high elbow, and then I'll close up, and I'll choke him. Good job. If you're here, my hand's going to come round. And I want, to get my hand, you want to see my fingers here, right? Like branches blowing in the wind. So what I do to do that is I move my head over to the other side of him. It's initially here. Can't do it on the same side as the branches. I have to move it over. Now I'll grab this way and chop it into his neck. And at the same time, lock my legs back around him and go back to my back. Now, you see in competition people doing it incorrectly, and they're once again hyperextending. I will get the choke even before I just get the choke. I don't need the legs. I'm going to get the choke now. Like I said, I've got to get him to his side, right? Harry either turns to his side and I capitalise on it, or I force it and I come. Now you've got to be quick. This sliding up, it's great because Harry's a bit bigger than Raph, so I can actually slide up quicker, is that I've got to slide my body up and get this knee, left knee, right behind the head to stop movement and bring my right heel into his stomach. So I slide up, boom. Now I open up the collar and I feed the teacup grip to here and I posture and I'll get the tap. That's it. That's pretty straightforward. It's related to the bow and arrow. So bow and arrow is here, hand off the back, and I can grab the lats and fall back, but I can also get that tap just there, or I can bring this knee up and do it in here. This action, if Harry just sits up for a second, this turning of the collar, the lapel, across here, gets a tap. And it's related to the single hand. Look, this is a single hand doing a half lapel Nelson, right? Boom. But have a look at this. This hand goes in, snakes around the neck, and does the same thing. So that's how that single-handed rear naked choke evolved, because someone thought it's related to here, which was Danaher Death Squad, and then they turned it into a single-handed choke, which is pretty cool. We're looking at rear naked choke, and we're looking at, I like to teach one-handed first, because if you can do one-handed, then it frees up the other hand for fighting. So the first one we're going to do is one-handed. I snake my hand around the neck, and I put it on the back of his neck. And then this elbow has to go towards his sternum, and then I turn this way, and I'll get a tap, one-handed. The reason that I would like to do one-handed is that Harry, if I go the other way and I want two-handed, he will fight me with this hand, he'll pull down on it. So the old method or classic method is I come across here and I do something like that, but Harry can actually fight any of that, any hand fighting will clear it. Whereas if I come into the back of the neck and grab and cup the back of the neck, he tries to grab, very hard, I can still get it on. So that's why I do it. With two hands, I've got this action. I come around the same as before, and I come onto the neck and I bring this hand through, and my fingers, you'll see them just out to the side. Now I have a cutting action with my hands and then a pulling action this way, and I'll get the tap really quickly, as opposed to coming over into the elbow or higher up on my own chin. That still allows options here to fight. So if I do a two-handed method, which is really a one-handed method with the second hand in, I'm going to get a quick tap pretty quickly. So that's what we're looking for. Pincer. And then I look over the shoulder and I turn. And I turn. There is no hyperextension. It's just pure mechanical advantage. And I get the tap early. I'm going for early taps. Early danger. As more experienced people, you should be going for early danger. Without warning and early danger. All right, good. That's it for tip 2. There's a lot of stuff I can add to it, but I'm not going to add to it just yet. I'm going to get all the tips done, and then I'm going to add to it, right? There's a lot of refinement that I've done over 10 years, but I also understand you need the basic movement. You need to be able to do, you know, the movement perhaps the way I learned. Because you need to have a little bit of that journey so that you understand, oh, that's the choke, that's a better way to do it. I get that. But at Redback, we're trying to have a 101 teaching methodology, and then you can grow your own methodology. And then when you become an instructor, you teach the 101 methodology, but you do, and you identify it, because someone coming in new needs to do 101. But someone that's been there for a while, you say, you know what, this is how to make that really sing, how to make that really work, okay? All right, so whatever you're doing today, have a good one. Get some training in. I intend to do the 3rd and 4th tip during this lockdown period, and I look forward to seeing you online in the virtual world at some time in the future. Cheers.